And today marks 56 years since the raid on Lillis Leaf Farm on Rivonia. Among the arrested were Walter Sisulu, Govan Mbeki, Ahmed Kathrada, Nelson Mandela and other high-ranking Umkhonto were members. Well, the case went on to be known as the trial that changed South Africa. And a gala dinner is being hosted this evening to honour the two surviving Rivonia trialists. That's Andrew Mlangeni and Dennis Goldberg. Newsnight's anchor Vuyo Mfoko is currently attending the event and he joins us again right now. Vuyo, I understand the event is only meant to take place at 8 p.m, but also guests are walking in, I understand.
In fact, Tumelo, it was supposed to start at 7 o'clock. There's a bit of a delay, but we're being told that it is about to start any time from now. In fact, the guest speaker, Kgalema Motlanthe, we are told, will walk in here any minute from now. In fact, as I'm saying this to you, I see his motorcade coming through. He's going to give the keynote address, but he is also, of course, the chairperson of the Lillis Leaf Trust, which is hosting tonight's event. The ANC and its alliance partners, the South African Communist Party, COSATU, as well as SANCO, are, of course, co-hosting this event. In fact, as we speak, the national chairperson of the South African Communist Party is about to receive Kgalema Motlanthe, who will be giving that keynote address a little later on. I see that the national chairperson of the SACP is being joined by the Communist Party's second secretary, Soli Mapaila. Well, the first secretary of the SACP, I should say. Well, there he is. Well, since, of course, leaving office, he has become renowned for speaking his mind. We don't know what he is going to say today, but from the conversations we're having with with the alliance components, they want this night to be remembered for its reflections on the state of not only the ANC, but also the alliance in these trying times. I am, in fact, joined by a member of both the Politburo and the Central Committee of the ANC. He also happens to be the Deputy Speaker in the National Assembly, Lichisa Tsenoli. Mr. Tsenoli, thank you very much for your time. One couldn't help but notice the prominence that the South African Communist Party has taken at this year's commemorative event. The stage is in fact draped in South African Communist Party colors and very little else.
Well, yes, the ANC is obviously there. You may say it's smaller, but it's there significantly. And the reason is that in the work of the alliance, historically, the Communist Party had a slight advantage in going earlier underground. And so when the ANC was banned, the party had already an experience, had acquired, for example, this property with a deliberate intention to have a place from which to do things and work around issues and so on. So it was necessary to harness that experience in order to advance the revolution at that time in the history of our country. We are recalling those because, as those who have come before us have said before, when it appears like you are losing your direction, when you step back, you will notice where you lost the road and you can reconnect with the original objective. That is, in a sense, part of the reasons behind always not forgetting to look back on the historical issues and how it emerged, to understand that the difficulties we confront today can be explained partly by what has happened in the past, and therefore provide us with the confidence that even today's problems will be resolved as well. That's an overriding intention in the reason for, so to speak, together observing this significant venue and in its history in the revolution in South Africa.
What specifically gives the South African Communist Party that sense that perhaps you are not, as the ANC and as the alliance more broadly, you're not where you are supposed to be?
No, some of those reasons is that we've just come out of an election in which we feel we could have done better. We've done well because the people continue to provide us with the confidence that they still have some respect for what we can do, and this is why they retained us to run the country. That's a very great sign of confidence of the people they have with us. And therefore the things we do going forward ought to remind all of us, including the younger ones, that there is a foundation upon which we learn to do things differently with discipline. Sometimes there'll be mistakes, errors of judgment, and so on. And so, but the foresight to have had a place from which to operate was a very significant idea. That oftentimes it is those steps that lay the foundation for the steps that follows. And this is why we thought, together, by the way, that we must commemorate this event. It places the South African Revolution as well in the context of other histories elsewhere that equally have gone through difficult phases but prevailed. We hope we will learn the lessons of those, including from our own lessons. And that's why we think it is absolutely significant that we must remember. Some of our veterans who are here are no longer around. And so it is to them, as well as the surviving ones who are sickly, that we should continue to pay tribute to them, and those who are still alive to remind us of what they went through. Because it cannot be smooth sailing. Those who have been there before us must continue to guide us. The ethics, the morality that are important in the struggle to increase the availability of ourselves to serve the people is an important one. Many of those who were here were not only intellectual, political and ideological giants, but they were also very disciplined cadres, in spite of the mistake that led to their arrest and long treason trials. But the tactics they employed proved very successful because they were let go and they continued to play the role that they initially plotted in this foundation where we are standing today.
Your keynote speaker has been very strong on discipline, especially over the past couple of years. Very briefly, what was your brief to Kgalema Motlanthe?
No, I think he remains one of the leadership of the African National Congress, and who has played an important role in shaping political education. The Robben Island was one of the places where the deepening of political education, not only political education, education. There's someone who said to me from KZN who said, I respect my organization. It taught me to read and write when he went to Robben Island. So education was both political but generic education to enable people to do that. The Chief Justice was not an ANC or Communist Party member. He went there at 15, and when he came out, he had a string of educational qualifications. It was part of the environment that was created there. So what we benefit from Kgalema Motlanthe is the lessons of history that he learned on that island in the presence of some of the most brave and sharp educators on the island. So he continues to share what he was taught on the island by people like Gala and others who were teachers of the finest order in the politics of our revolution.
Thank you very much, Lechisa Tsenoli, who is, of course, a member of the South African Communist Party's Central Committee and Politburo. Well, we will see, Tumelo, whether that master teacher that Kgalema Motlanthe is, certainly from what Lechisa Tsenoli was telling us, is going to do and what he's going to be sharing with the alliance partners here this evening as they commemorate 56 years of that raid when the police swooped on the central command of of Umkhonto Wesizwe, which at the time, of course, had just begun the process of taking up arms on behalf of the ANC and its alliance partners. Back to you, Tim.